Hi and welcome to SMEBiztv, where we bring you bite-sized business strategies for today's SMEs. Today we are extremely fortunate because we have a guest.
Wow, welcome to the show, Carol. Now, for those of you who don't know, and there's very few of you out there that don't, Carol Talbot is, we're here in the UAE with Carol Talbot, and she's the Middle East's most recognized professional speaker. She's an author, a thought leader, she's a master trainer in NLP, she's a fire starter, and all-around awesome lady.
So I'm going red right now.
We're hoping that the show doesn't go up on fire in a few seconds. Now, Carol founded an amazing company called Matrix Training, and she's the author of a book called Hitting the Wall, which is all about how to, really a book on breaking through tough times. And we're really fortunate that she's here on our show today. She's actually in the business of getting people to empower themselves and help themselves. Through whether it's through business, for corporates, whether it's through empowering organizations or developing teams, and of course getting people fired up. So,
absolutely,
which is really cool. Now, something that a lot of you may not know is that, and I believe this is going to be released. It's already released. Is that Carol is part of something called the Success Profiles DVD, which is actually featuring Jack Canfield, Tim Ferriss, Ivan Misner, and a whole host of other awesome people. So definitely check that out.
And me as well.
Welcome to the show, Carol.
Thank you.
So while we have you here on the show, we obviously need to pick your brain. We have a lot of questions that we put out for you. So now, how does NLP really, come into the working in place?
Okay, good question. I think I should start by explaining what NLP is, because it stands for Neuro-linguistic Programming, which still probably doesn't help a lot of people understand what it is. So it's got many different definitions. It's been called fitness for the mind, the new art and science of getting what you want. Here's a really lovely definition, very accurate, but you might not know what it means. It's the study of the structure of subjective experience.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, and it looks like you've both gone into a trance.
It's working already.
So I'm going to give you my definition of NLP and then let you know how it applies to business. So let me ask you both, have you ever behaved in a way that's inappropriate?
I would have to say no.
I don't even want to answer that question, I think.
Okay, so have you ever said the wrong thing at the wrong time? Foot and mouth syndrome?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh yes, English second language, definitely.
And have you ever felt the wrong emotions come up at a time where you thought, not now, this isn't appropriate, kind of thing?
Yeah.
So one of the things that NLP does is it helps you become aware of your patterns in thinking, in behavior, in how you feel, in what you believe in. And it also has a number of tools and techniques to allow you to make very rapid shifts. What that means is that you become aware that if you're doing anything brilliant in your life, then you find out how you do what you do, and you can repeat those patterns of success to get success in other areas of your life. And then you can also become aware if you're not doing anything brilliant in your life, then how do you do that, and how can you get rid of those patterns? So how does this apply to business? Well, NLP is also very much focused on results and success and modeling excellence. So if you want to get good in business, simply put, find somebody else who's doing what you want to be doing. Not only find out what they do, but more important, how they do what they do. Their behaviors, the way they communicate outside, but also how they communicate inside their head, what beliefs they're operating from, and then install those same patterns of thinking, behavior, beliefs inside yourself to get the same amazing results. So it's the user manual for the mind, and it models excellence.
Do you find that it's easily transferable to a business format? Because obviously there's so many small businesses out there, and a lot of these leaders of the businesses, at some point they need to start learning that first they have to lead themselves before they can even lead a team or a business. But how do you find that translates to maybe even SMEs, maybe these small 1-man to 10-man kind of operations?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Tanner, we mainly get business people attend our NLP certification programs. And when I say business people, that's everyone from CEOs, CFOs, auditors, HR, trainers, coaches. Our programs tend to attract more of the business people. So during the programs, obviously, we help them apply those new tools and techniques back into the business arena, whether that be communicating more effectively with their team, or it could be project planning, getting clear about their objectives, strategic planning, bringing their team together. What I found is, I love learning. I've been into personal development for many, many, many years and read literally thousands of books, attended a lot of courses. So most people know me as a bit of a course junkie. I sort of zoom off for another fix of analogy or NLP. But I do remember when I came across NLP, I knew I'd come across something different. And I knew that because I took quantum leaps forward in my own life, both personally and professionally. So when people say, how can I use this in business? My question would be, how could you not? Because I think what NLP offers is not one tool or technique, many different tools and techniques. And it also promotes a flexibility of approach in thinking, in behavior, in communication, in planning, problem solving. And I think we all know one size doesn't fit all. No matter how stretchy that fabric, and no matter what they say, one size really does not fit all.
Very true.
So it's the leader or the entrepreneur who has the most flexibility in how they manage and lead their team, in how they communicate, in how they solve problems, in how they think globally, is the one that's going to be most successful. Because if you just have one management style, that doesn't work for everybody. So NLP is about promoting flexibility. And when it comes to leading yourself, if you can't lead yourself first, how on earth are you going to lead a team? I always say to people, if you can't get yourself out of bed, then how on earth are you going to motivate your team to go and do anything? It always starts with leading yourself first, and then leading the team, and ultimately leading an organization.
Sure.
Now, when you start a business, say like an entrepreneur, because obviously we have a lot of SMEs and startups watching our show. How do you, you're excited, you're energized, you start your company, you grow it, and then you get, big, so you need to hire more people. How can you transfer your energy and your positivity to that person you're hiring? Because you obviously, when you have your own company, the passion that you have to run that company for it to succeed is not necessarily going to be reflecting on that other person you're hiring.
No, and you'll work all hours God sends because it's your baby.
Exactly.
So how do you instill that same passion and enthusiasm in other people? And honestly, that's the challenge, not just of small to medium-sized companies. It's the challenge of organizations all over the globe. How do they get people involved, almost as stakeholders or shareholders? And actually, that's what a lot of organizations do. They offer their employees an opportunity to be a stakeholder or shareholder or profit share, so that they feel it's not that they're working for an organization, it's like we work together, it's our organization, so they're part of that. But for the SMEs, that's not always possible to offer shares in the business. And one of the questions I often get asked when we run sort of leadership development programs is, how do I motivate my team? How do I get them fired up? And I remember a particular time when one of my coaching associates was working with an organization, and the manager came in and said, how on earth do I motivate my team? And so my associate said, well, what motivates you? And he shared everything that motivated him. And then she said to him, well, what did I just do? And he said, well, you asked me a question. You asked me what motivates me. And she said, exactly. So what prevents you from simply asking your team, what motivates you? It's the simplest thing, but it's one of those questions that we never consider asking. We'll go on loads of different management courses, come back with loads of different techniques, when often it's just the power of questions, and asking the right question gets you the right response. And what motivates one person may not motivate another.
Yeah, and I think quite often in business, a manager might just, or an owner of a company might just assume the employees are there to facilitate that owner's needs. And so that doesn't actually motivate the employee. The employee then takes on sort of a pawn or a robot type position where they just sort of blindly go to work 9 to 5. They just do the thing they're supposed to do and then go home and maybe complain, clock in, clock out. And they check their mind at the door as well, so that they just sort of blankly come into work and then go back out to their real life. What motivates them there in their real life is different than what's motivating them in their work life. And as long as, I think what you're saying is if the manager really just combines that, if the person can understand, because a lot of SMEs out here are trying to control the business. They're really constricting the business.
Rather than getting involved. And I would totally resonate with that, having been a little bit of a control freak.
We all have our things.
You set up, as an entrepreneur, you have a brilliant idea. The challenge comes when you do need to employ more people because, what happens, and I see so many entrepreneurs on burnout, they've got a great idea, there's certain skills or abilities that they have that they're really good at, but when you're running your own business, you end up having to do everything. That means from cleaning the office to literally making the tea, the coffee, the planning, the prioritizing, speaking to the clients, the sales, the marketing. And what often happens is entrepreneurs get burnt out because they find that they're not doing their area of expertise and what they really love. And so I would also suggest that it's really valuable to write down your core competencies, what you really love, what you really enjoy, and then all the things that need to be done which are not your area of expertise, and then recruit people who have got those areas of expertise and it is their passion. The other thing I'd highlight here is about values. Being clear about your values are your driving force and your guiding force behind everything that you do. And for many of us, they're at an unconscious level. And although I go into many organizations and there's the sort of vision and the plaque on the wall with the values, most organizations are not operating from those values. Yet those values actually create the culture of an organization. So when you're recruiting, discovering what people's values are and if those values are a good match for the organization, not just where it is now, but also where the organization wants to be. That is another way to help get alignment between recruiting the right people and getting them on board and feeling, fired up and passionate about what they're doing and where the company's going. Two other simple things that I'd mention about getting employees engaged, and this comes from research and around some of the work we've done before around emotional intelligence. They say two of the biggest ways to keep people engaged in a company is getting them clear about results, getting them clear about objectives and also their objectives, what they want to do, and can your organization help them achieve their goals. So helping your team get clear about their objectives. Now you can't do that unless you're clear about your strategic plan.
Sure.
And I can talk about that in just a few moments. And the other thing is regular feedback. Regular feedback. I worked for a company for 5 years and I never got feedback. One day I went into my office, there was an envelope on my desk, and I didn't know whether I was being fired or rewarded. As it happens, I was being rewarded with a beautiful handwritten note from my manager, and how sad that I didn't know whether I was on course or off course. Right. So regular feedback really keeps people on track and keeps them motivated, and often that's an area we leave out because we're busy.
I don't understand how important it is, really getting that done.
Now our friend, actually a friend of all of ours, Tina Olivero, who runs the Oil and Gas magazine, she said something once a long time ago, and she said
I love that lady.
She said, Tina, if you're watching, we love you, all of us. We miss you. Come back to Dubai soon. One of the things she said is everything starts with a conversation, and quite often I've run divisions of companies as well, and sometimes you can sort of get wrapped up so much in your work that you actually forget to give feedback or you forget to communicate or engage. Now don't forget to take notes here because Carol's given us a lot of great content. One of the things that we do want to talk about to Carol is the fired up formula, because obviously this is something that's really amazing. We've seen some of the stuff that's going on online through Carol and some of the content that she's put online, but tell us more about the fired up formula and how does it work? What do you do with this?
Okay.
This is exciting.
I'm fired up already.
Awesome.
So again, let me start by asking you two a question. Have either of you noticed that when you feel good about yourself, you get a much better result than when you don't feel good about yourself?
Absolutely.
Have you ever noticed? So when you're feeling, totally motivated, totally confident, totally energized, you get better results than when you're feeling kind of like depressed or demotivated, or you just didn't have a great conversation with maybe a prospective client. So the question here is, how do you instantly get yourself into a good state? And how do you get other people into a good state so they can get the results that they want? And I always say this is a little bit like the difference between striking a match or a volcano. Because if you strike a match, it lights up for a few seconds, it flickers, but it burns and dies out very, very quickly. Like a lot of people's enthusiasm about a new project or a new venture. How do you keep that momentum going? So think about a volcano. And a volcano, the core comes from the core of the earth. And a volcano has a power that's everlasting. So just imagine if you could tap into that core power within you anytime, any place, anywhere. And you can literally switch that on. So the Fired Up formula basically is a way to help you get fired up and tap into that core energy so that you can access that anytime you choose. Now, when I say Fired Up formula, I spell fire a little bit differently. So instead of F-I-R-E, it's F-I-A. That's the FIRE formula. So the F stands for feedback. First of all, taking feedback and almost like an audit. Where are you now and where do you want to be? What's working and what's not working? And once you've established what's working, can you do more of that? And when you've established what's not working, is it time to let it go? So it actually starts with feedback and an audit of where you are now, where do you want to be, which could involve some strategic planning. The I from the FIRE formula, got my cat joining me.
Hello.
He seems to be
He's all fired up.
So the I stands for working from the inside out. Because really, there's a lovely quote by an anthropologist called vanderpost, and he says, every man, I think he meant women as well, he says, every man must be his own leader. And I'm going to say that again because I really think that's a powerful quote. Every man must be his own leader. Because if you think about that, wherever you are in your life right now has come about by the way that you've chosen to lead yourself inside. So is what you're doing inside your head, those pictures, those sounds, those feelings, that self-talk inside your head, is it helping you get the results that you want, or is it moving you in the wrong direction? So the Fired Up formula works from the inside out, discovering what you're doing, and if what you're doing isn't working, making rapid shifts and changes, using some of the tools and techniques from NLP, Neuro-linguistic Programming, and also helping you find out what and how you do what you do, and if it's going well, to do more of that. So you literally have got your success strategy, which you can use and utilize in all areas of your life. And finally, that's all good and well, but of course the A means you need to take some action. So coming up with a strategic plan that helps you move forward. And the way that I like to do planning is really to eavesdrop on the future. So instead of looking at where we are now and where we want to be, go out into the future, maybe 1 year or 5 years, look back, what did you achieve? And that's a really great way of taking a different view on strategic planning, and a great way to get the action steps that you need to take in order to get where you want to be. So it's eavesdropping on the future. So that's the Fired Up formula.
It's an amazing formula that you've created as well. I think we have to leave our credit card behind at this point. We've just taken an amazing session from Carol Talbot here live.
And I'll take the credit card.
We'll take your credit card, we'll pay cash.
One other thing I'd just add here is, I'm known as a fire starter, not just because of the Fired Up formula, but what we also do is I encourage people to shift their mindset really quickly. So we often incorporate a lot of action metaphors with the organizations that we partner with. And I say partner with rather than just come in and do a sort of one program or one coaching session. It really is a partnership, because other people's success is our success. So we use a lot of action metaphors, which could be the fire walk, board breaks, arrow breaks, rebars, getting people to do things that initially they perceive as is impossible, and then they do it anyway. And that shifts people's mindset very quickly about what is and isn't possible. Because after all, do we need more fire walkers in the world? Probably not. But what the world does need is more people who can face their fears with courage, go out there and have a massive impact and influence to change the world to move in a better direction.
That's absolutely correct.
So, you know, you've been working with a lot of companies, big companies, small companies. Do you have like a last piece of advice for the new start, or especially startups? I guess you know, as we're focusing on that, that they can, you know, improve their business, or what is it, like a small piece of advice that you would give?
You can't do it all. And I hate to use the word can't, because I always say is that can't or won't. And, you know, often we get sidetracked from doing the things that we're really brilliant at, and that's when you need to look at where's your core strengths, what do you absolutely love doing, because when you're doing what you love, you know, it's as if the universe steps in to help everything flow. So it's about, is it time, rather than being sort of a one-man band or a small organization, is it time to look at recruiting people who have the skills and talents and gifts that you would like, so that everybody, you know, I'm a great believer that in my organization we all do what we love. You know, you know, some of my team enjoy the one-to-one coaching, other people enjoy working with larger groups. So it's about doing what you really love. And I'd also go back to lead from the inside out. It starts with you.
That's very powerful. Now, if you want more information about Carol Talbot, her business, Carol, so is what's this on our table here now? We just want to explain this. Is this part of what's going on with the success profiles, or is this?
Yes, this is a 12-set DVD series, okay, with yours truly, featured as number 12, alongside, I was interviewed by Jack Canfield, so I was interviewed as an expert in my field of NLP, and I also talk about the Fired Up formula there. And there's people like Tim Ferriss, I think people have heard of the 4-Hour Work Week, Jack Canfield himself, who's kind of like the US's, America's #1 success coach, Ivan Misner, who set up BNI. So there's some great, amazing content here. And it's a 12 DVD set, and it's available through my website, which is matrix-training.com, or caroltalbot.me. We also have some free e-video programs for your listeners, which can be found on nlpuncovered.com or firedupformula.com.
Awesome. We'll make sure that all the links that Carol just talked about will be available just below the video here.
Now, because we're interviewing Carol, we're going to have a special SME Biz TV Lint moment soon. So let's head on over to the next segment before we do.
Does that feature me biting into a lint? Because I could easily do that.
I think we're going to have to eat these before we all fire it up and melt these things. So let's grab one now, and we'll see you in the next segment.
Hi, and welcome to SME Biz TV Lint Moment!
Yay!
Favorite part of the show!
Absolutely, and there's lots of the wrappers to prove it.
We better hurry up, because we're all fired up and this stuff's starting to melt, so let's eat away.
On a chocolate high.
Absolutely.
So, like Tana said, fired up. The fired up formula from Carol is what we're rating today, which is an awesome, awesome program. What I actually think is the best of it is that it's free.
I love free. We love free for all of you SMEs out there. So now the thing about this cool program from Carol is that it's 6 short videos. They're only 4 or 5 minutes long each. And what I like about something like that is that in a busy day, although we should always be spending time on self and or professional development, these are short, packed with content by Carol, and the videos are really amazing. So you can watch them very quickly throughout your day and in snippets, and rewatch them in case you need a refresher.
Yeah, a short burst to get fired up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you will be getting them on a daily. Like when you sign up, you get the first video, and then every day
for 6 days.
For 6 days, you will be receiving one. So you don't feel like you have to do it all in one go, and it's getting too much.
Absolutely.
And also the transcript for each of the video. There's a transcript, so if you feel that you don't understand or you need to rewrite it or reread it
too quickly, it's all written out.
It's all written up for you.
And since we're in a global world today, so with the fact that it's on the internet, some people English is not their first language, and so it's great that Carol's decided to put this into text as well, so people can revisit that content, read it in their own time and space, and that's what I really like as well.
Now, did you two do the exercises?
Yes, really love the exercises. When you get to the exercises, it's all about mindset, changing mindset, and we actually in the earlier segment we also talked about it. And it got us definitely fired up for our business, and we love taking massive action, so definitely completely aligned with what Carol was talking about.
Yeah, basically immediately change. That's what you can do. You watch the video, you can implement it immediately, which is also really good.
And just little tools and techniques. So it's not asking you to do, you know, whole lists and massive input. It's just tiny little snippets that you can use immediately to literally change your mind. Keep the change.
This goes exactly with our slogan, bite-sized business strategies, right?
Perfect.
Same thing.
Wonderful. Well, we wanted to let you know what we decided to rate with Carol's program, and we're extremely happy about it.
Yes, 5 out of 5 Linda balls.
I should
Yay.
celebrate.
Yeah,
Let's
you
all
should.
celebrate. Now, don't forget, at the bottom of the website here, you get all the content that we've talked about in the segments. Also, don't forget to go to Carol's website. She's got multiple websites that we've got linked down below. Download the Fired Up program for sure, and take a look at the program that Carol has with Tim Ferriss, Ivan Misner, and Jack Canfield. That's really awesome. So go ahead and check this out as well.
So, thank you very much, Carol. Really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank
You've given
you.
us a lot of things, and obviously
Thank
the
you.
5 out of 5. It's awesome. So until next time.
We see you guys on the next segment.
Bye.
Bye for now. Enjoy Lynn chocolates. We do.